What happens when an undercover boss walks into his own repair shop, not as the owner, but as just another customer? Let's dive in to see how one conversation could change everything. Thomas Tom Carter wasn't your typical CEO. In his late 40s, he had built his repair shop chain, Carter's Auto Care, from a single garage in his hometown into a successful business with locations spread across the region. Despite his success, Tom had always prided himself on staying connected to his roots. He wasn't the kind of boss who stayed in a high-rise office all day crunching numbers. He believed in his people, the mechanics, the managers, and even the interns. But lately, rumors had started reaching him. Customers had been complaining about slow service. Employees were reportedly unhappy. Tom didn't want to rely solely on management reports. He needed to see it for himself. So on a rainy Thursday morning, he decided to go undercover at one of his busiest locations, blending in with the crowd to see the truth. Tom pulled into the parking lot in an old sedan borrowed from a friend. Wearing a baseball cap, faded jeans, and an old jacket, he walked into the waiting area like any other customer. The shop was bustling. The receptionist, Claire, a young woman in her early 20s with a kind smile, greeted him warmly. "Welcome to Carter's Auto Care. How can we help you today?" she asked. "My car's making a weird grinding noise when I brake. Can someone take a look?" Tom replied, keeping his voice casual. Claire nodded and handed him a clipboard to fill out. Tom took a seat in the waiting area, his eyes scanning the shop. He saw mechanics moving back and forth, tools clanging, and a few frustrated customers pacing the room. Everything seemed normal at first. As he waited, Tom's attention was drawn to the open door leading to the repair bay. Two mechanics, Matt and Eric, stood by a car, speaking in low voices. What they didn't realize was that their voices carried into the waiting area. "Did you hear what the boss is planning?" Eric, a tall, wiry man in his late 30s, asked. "Yeah," Matt replied, his tone bitter. "They're cutting back hours again. Do they think we can survive on that? I've got rent, bills, and 2 kids to feed." Tom's stomach tightened. This wasn't true, or was it? He hadn't approved any changes to hours recently. Eric sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. "And it's not just the hours, man. Customers are catching on that we're under pressure to upsell unnecessary repairs. You know that lady yesterday? Her brakes were fine, but they wanted us to push for a replacement." Tom felt a pang of guilt and anger. Upselling unnecessary repairs? That was against everything Carter's Auto Care stood for. He leaned in closer, pretending to read a magazine but listening intently. Matt lowered his voice. "Honestly, I've been thinking of quitting. The job's killing me, and I can't keep up with the lies, but I need this paycheck." Tom couldn't sit still anymore. He stood, walked to the receptionist's desk, and asked, "Can I take a look at my car in the bay?" Claire hesitated, but eventually agreed. Tom walked into the repair bay, his heart pounding. The mechanics turned to him, startled. "Hey," Tom said, pulling off his cap. "I'm Tom Carter. I own this place." Matt and Eric froze, their expressions shifting from shock to dread. "Let's talk," Tom said, motioning them to follow him to a corner of the bay. His voice wasn't angry, but it carried the weight of someone who needed answers. Tom listened as Matt and Eric poured out their frustrations. They talked about unrealistic expectations, the pressure to upsell, and how recent changes in management had created a toxic environment. Eric explained how the team had tried raising concerns but felt ignored. Tom spent the next hour walking through the shop, talking to employees. He realized the problem wasn't his mechanics or even the shop itself. It was the middle management layer. Policies he'd approved with good intentions were being twisted or miscommunicated. Later that evening, Tom called a company-wide meeting. He addressed the rumors, clarified that no one's hours were being cut, and implemented a new feedback system so employees could voice concerns directly to him. He also made it clear that Carter's Auto Care would never pressure employees to upsell unnecessary repairs. As things started to stabilize in the weeks after Tom's undercover visit, he began spending more time at the shop, getting to know his team on a deeper level. During one of these visits, Matt, the mechanic who had once considered quitting, nervously approached Tom during a lunch break. He clutched a folder filled with hand-drawn diagrams and notes. "Mr. Carter," Matt began, hesitating for a moment before finding his courage. "I've been thinking about how we could improve the way we handle repairs and communicate with customers. I know it's not really my job, but I put together some ideas." Tom took the folder and flipped through its pages. The diagrams showed an organized step-by-step system for tracking repairs, from intake to final inspection, using an app that could update customers in real time. It was efficient, transparent, and exactly the kind of innovation the company needed. "Curious," Tom asked, "how do you know so much about this kind of stuff?" Matt looked a little embarrassed. "Before I became a mechanic, I studied software engineering. I even worked at a tech company for a few years, but life happened. I needed something more stable, so I ended up here." Tom smiled, impressed not only by the ingenuity of the idea, but also by Matt's courage to present it. "This is brilliant, Matt. I want you to work with me to develop this system for all our locations. Let's turn this idea into something real." For the first time in years, Matt felt truly valued. He poured himself into the project, working after hours to bring the app to life. With Tom's support, the app was rolled out across the company within a few months, and its impact was immediate. The new system revolutionized Carter's Auto Care. Customers could now track their repairs in real time, get updates on costs, and even chat directly with their assigned mechanic if they had questions. Transparency and trust became the company's trademark, and customer satisfaction soared. More importantly, the shop's culture transformed. Matt's success story inspired other employees to step forward with their own ideas. Eric, the mechanic who had voiced his frustrations during that fateful conversation, proposed a mentorship program to train new hires and reduce turnover. Claire, the receptionist, suggested creating a loyalty program for returning customers, which became another hit. Tom's leadership also evolved. He started holding monthly town hall meetings with his employees, listening to their concerns and ideas firsthand. His newfound hands-on approach bridged the gap between management and the shop floor, creating a sense of unity and shared purpose. Months later, Tom stood in the same repair shop where it had all begun, watching as customers smiled and mechanics worked with renewed energy. He couldn't help but reflect on the journey. What had started as a simple undercover visit had turned into a turning point, not just for the company, but for everyone involved. Matt, now leading the company's tech initiatives, walked up to Tom. "You know," Matt said with a grin, "if you hadn't come here that day, none of this would have happened." Tom laughed softly. "Maybe, or maybe I just finally listened." He had learned that leadership wasn't about staying in an office or looking at numbers. It was about understanding the people who kept the business running. And sometimes the best ideas and the brightest talents come from the most unexpected places. Carter's Auto Care wasn't just a repair shop anymore. It was a testament to what could happen when a leader was willing to step out of their comfort zone, hear the hard truths, and believe in the potential of their team. That's the story, friends. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a pleasure sharing it with you all. Don't forget to comment below and let me know where you're watching from. It's always fun to see the global reach of these stories. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button for more amazing stories, tips, and tricks. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. If you'd like to show some extra love, tap the 3 dots near the share button and send a super thanks.